Oh, yeah, here it is. Good thing Ian Miles Chang tweeted it. This is the first of two Ian Miles Chang tweets we'll be using this evening. Dalai Lama speaks out after bizarre video showed him asking to kiss boy's tongue. The Dalai Lama has apologized after a video emerged of the Tibetan spiritual leader kissing an Indian boy on the lips and asking him to suck my tongue. So fucking weird. Let's as they I we will watch it, but it's almost I'm like reading through the dialogue. He was taking questions in February from an audience in Dharmasala, the Indian town where he lives in exile, when the child asked the Nobel Prize winner, "Can I hug you?" So this reads like almost like fucking erotic literature written for pedophiles. The Dalai Lama invited him onto stage and pointed to his cheek, prompting the boy to give him a hug and a kiss. The 87-year-old then pointed to his lips and said, "That I think finally here also." Like, I mean, he really walked him in. Made him okay with it step by step. He did. And as they pressed their foreheads together, the boy poked his tongue out. He then pulled the unidentified boy's chin, kissed him on the mouth, adding, "And suck my tongue." As they pressed their foreheads together, the boy poked his tongue out before moving away, but the Dalai Lama pulled him in for another hug. Let's have a peek, shall we? The fucking Dalai Lama looks like he's having a great time, if we're being honest. He really, really seems to be enjoying himself, almost as if he's forgotten that the cameras are there.
And suck my tongue.
And it cuts off right before the actual tongue sucking, which is probably good. I'd probably get in trouble with fucking YouTube if I showed it because it's that erotic. But yeah, he really, I mean, it felt like he fell into into a trance. Like, once he got that kid close to him, he had the blinders on and there was nothing going on in his periphery. It was just him and the boy doing a little tongue sucking. And it was very, very upsetting the way they kind of went in for it too. Like, that looks like a couple kissing tenderly. That's not a pleasant thing to see. And you know, you wonder, this is the one that it feels like this accidentally happened, and not like accidentally as in like, oh, he's an old man, he's losing it, he asked the kid to do something weird. Like, it feels like what happened was he's done shit like this in the past, and this time he got a little too comfortable and accidentally did it when a bunch of people in video cameras were watching. Like, that's what I think. After their little makeout sesh, the Dalai Lama gave the kid a piece of advice. He said, "Now you should look to those good human beings who create peace and happiness. You should not follow those human beings who are always killing other people." What about What about advice for those human beings who make him sit on an old man's lap and suck tongue? Like, I feel like that's who this kid needs advice for who to deal with. He doesn't need, I don't know that anybody is going to recruit this kid to go around killing people, but it's certainly clear that there are people in this child's life who are totally cool with the idea of him making out with an old man. Like, that's, he needs advice for dealing with people like that, how to navigate those situations when the people that you've known and loved and trusted your entire life hand you over to an 87-year-old man for a public makeout session. Um, the audience reacted to the awkward scene at his temple in Macleod Ganj with laughter and applause as the Dalai Lama appeared to also tickle the child. He uses his hands as well. Fantastic. The video is scandalous, Colombian journalist Vicky Davila said on Twitter. The Dalai Lama kisses a boy who approaches him on the mouth. The attendees applaud and laugh instead of condemning this aberration. Yeah, that's something that no one's really talked about. Is the crowd seems not only is a crowd there, they seem pretty cool with it. Like, this isn't a big problem, because if in America, if your average Joe just kind of found a child and started sucking face with him on a street just out in the suburbs somewhere, like in front of like a bagel shop, whatever, he'd get he'd either wind up in jail or he'd get his fucking ass kicked. But he might wind up dead. The Dalai Lama, on the other hand, does this in front of a packed temple, and everybody applauds. And I think this is what people mean when they say that global elites are all pedophiles. Because I don't want to sound like those nut jobs who showed up at what was the pizza place down in DC? The guy showed up with an AR-15 because he thought there was a child sex ring, called like Comet Ping Pong or some shit like that. But you got the Dalai Lama making out with kids on camera. The Catholic Church and the Orthodox, the Hasids or the Orthodox Jews out in Brooklyn, they've been molesting kids for years. No follow up on any of the people who have been who were visiting Epstein's Island. Just all this shit kind of happening in plain sight. So if you're even a little bit conspiracy prone, it is hard to see all of this and then just not believe that global elites are molesting children without fear of consequence. And I don't know that it goes that deep, like that they're that's that widespread, but what we know about the Catholic Church alone, to me, means that there are probably more global elites than we'd like to admit molesting kids, and shit like this is just like a little tiny peek behind the curtain. The leader's Twitter account, which has 19 million followers, said Monday, a video clip has been circulating that shows a recent meeting when a young boy asked His Holiness the Dalai Lama if he could give him a hug. His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused. The thing is, it's not just the embarrassment that the kid has to go through in the moment. It's the fact that for the rest of his life, this kid is going to be the kid who had to make out with the Dalai Lama. Like, that sticks with you. People don't forget that. You get ready to go back to your high school reunion and you're talking to your buddies and you start kicking around the old stories. And if one of your friends made out with a Buddhist monk in front of a packed, house of worship, and it was videoed and put all over the internet, that would get brought up. Like, hey, you remember the kid from English class, the one that made out with the fucking Dalai Lama? Like, that's just not going to go away, right? Everyone has that embarrassing moment from when they were growing up that they think they'll never live down. this is one of those that's going to be tough for him because he does, I know obviously he is the victim in all this, but he doesn't look like an unwilling participant. Um, you know, it's like when people become a meme and then they're just defined as that, like that, what's the jealous or the overbearing girlfriend meme or whatever, like the kid sweating in class. You become defined as that, and that's who you are for the rest of your life in perpetuity throughout the universe. Stuck in the middle is not a fan of the Dalai Lama, from what I have gleaned. Um, and they literally only apologized. That's an interesting point. Yeah, they didn't apologize for the action; they apologized for the words. Like, had it gone down without him enticing the boy, if it had just happened sort of naturally, maybe this would all be all right. Interesting take. Stuck in the middle. Okay, let's get let's get that out of there. Um, so the last story I wanted to get to tonight